I'm welling up already just talking about it because I mean it was just shaking his hand and watching him drive off was one of the coolest things I think I've ever got to do.
So, one other thing I wanted to ask you before we close, and this just occurred to me, is there like a particularly memorable interaction that you've had with somebody in recovery that is memorable to you that really just reinforce you that boy, I'm in the right business right now?
I do have many of them, and the one that still sticks with me the most is probably one of my first. I think he was the third guy that came into one of my houses, and he was actually the guy that I was kind of talking about earlier with the teeth. When he finally was ready to leave, he stayed with us just about a year, and really rebuilt his life, got a job, got things going. And when he left us, he was getting into his truck that he just put a new motor in, and he did it himself, and he had this great sense of accomplishment with that big beautiful smile. He was actually getting ready to drive back to the East Coast to connect with his family that he hadn't seen since he was about 14 years old when he left on train hopping across the country because he was a drug addict from 14 years old and on, and he was in his mid 30s, and this is the longest he's ever been sober since he was 14 years old. And not only that, he got to go back and reconnect with his fractured family. I mean, it was just everything you would want for somebody. They got themselves sober, they got themselves productive, then they reconnected and are about to mend with all of the people that they hurt and alienated themselves from. I mean, I'm welling up already just talking about it because I mean, it was just shaking his hand and watching him drive off was one of the coolest things I think I've ever got to do.
Yeah, it's those kind of stories that keep us going, especially when times get tough and we question whether or not we're making a difference. So it's part of the human experience. It's part of working in a very challenging field where we should question that. And I think it's healthy to question that because that means if we're questioning it, we're trying to figure out what can we do better? What can we do to become more accessible and relatable? What can we do to reach out and help more people?